The alien fleet floated menacingly above Earth, its massive ships casting dark shadows over entire continents. Inside the command ship, Commander Varric sneered, his taloned fingers curling in anticipation. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered, his voice dripping with disdain. "Let them tremble before our might." Below, in a hidden command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Captain Elena Ramirez watched the screens intently. Her brown eyes narrowed as she observed the enemy's formation, each alien ship a looming harbinger of destruction. The Earth's defense systems were on high alert, but to the aliens, they appeared dormant, just as she had planned. "Commander," a junior officer's voice crackled over the comms, "the alien ships are powering up their weapons." Ramirez didn't flinch. "Hold positions," she replied calmly, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. She knew the stakes. If they failed here, there would be no second chance. "Prepare the countermeasures. Wait for my signal." Above the planet, the first alien ship unleashed a torrent of plasma towards Earth's surface, a blinding lance of energy meant to shatter cities. Varric grinned, savoring the imagined terror of humanity. But his smile faltered as the plasma bolt vanished midair, swallowed by an unseen barrier. "What?" Varric's voice rasped with disbelief. He leaned forward, eyes widening as he scanned the readings. The humans had activated a planetary shield, one his intelligence had assured him didn't exist. In the command center, Ramirez permitted herself a small, grim smile. "Activate Phase 2, she ordered. The Earth's hidden defenses roared to life. Missile silos long concealed beneath urban landscapes opened, launching streaks of fire into the sky. Satellites, cloaked until now, revealed their presence, unleashing concentrated energy blasts toward the alien fleet. "Captain," another officer called out. "Direct hits on multiple targets. The alien shields are weakening." Ramirez's smile faded as she shifted her focus. "Good. But don't get comfortable. This is just the beginning." She knew the aliens were stunned by the unexpected resistance, but it wouldn't last. Varric was no fool. He would soon adapt, and when he did, Earth's survival would hang by a thread. On the command ship, Varric's snarl was audible across the bridge. "Deploy the fighters!" he barked, his voice sharp with anger. "And find the source of that shield. I want it destroyed." As the alien fighters swarmed toward Earth, Ramirez braced herself for the next phase of the battle. "Ready the interceptors," she commanded, her tone unyielding. The weight of every life on Earth bore down on her shoulders, but she couldn't afford to falter. Not now. The screens flickered with data as the human interceptors launched to meet the alien threat. Ramirez's gaze hardened as the first clashes erupted in the atmosphere. This was the moment she had prepared for. Every simulation, every drill, every sleepless night had led to this. "Captain," her second-in-command said quietly, "they underestimated us." Ramirez nodded, her voice cold with resolve. "Let's make sure they regret it." Above, the battle intensified, the sky alight with fire and fury. The aliens had come expecting submission. What they found instead was humanity's defiance, forged in desperation and tempered by hope. Ramirez stood firm, ready to meet the invaders head-on. She knew this fight was far from over, but one thing was certain: Earth would not fall easily. And for the first time, Varric felt a flicker of doubt. The silence that followed the initial skirmish was deafening. Commander Varric's command ship hovered above the Earth, its hull scarred from the unexpected retaliation. Inside, the tension was palpable. Every crew member avoided Varric's gaze, fearful of provoking his wrath. The humans had resisted, and worse, they had struck back with a ferocity that had shaken even the seasoned commander. Varric's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. "These humans," he muttered more to himself than to his subordinates. "They are not as weak as our intelligence suggested." His clawed hand clenched into a fist. "But they are still prey." On Earth, Captain Elena Ramirez remained focused, her mind racing through possibilities. The alien response had been swift, but not overwhelming. Yet she knew the real test was yet to come. The aliens had underestimated humanity once. They wouldn't make the same mistake again. Captain, Lieutenant Parker called out, his voice tight with urgency. Multiple alien ships are breaking formation. They're regrouping, likely planning a coordinated strike. Ramirez didn't hesitate. Prepare the decoy units, she ordered. If they want to fight, we'll give them one on our terms. She turned to Parker, her expression firm. And make sure our counteroffensive is ready. We need to hit them where it hurts. As the orders were relayed, the command center buzzed with activity. Tactical screens flickered with data, mapping out the enemy's movements and Earth's defenses. Despite the gravity of the situation, a grim determination filled the air. Ramirez's calm, unyielding presence anchored the crew, steeling them for the battle ahead. Above, in the cold expanse of space, Varick's fleet shifted, preparing to unleash a concentrated assault. He knew the humans were cunning, but he still viewed them as nothing more than a nuisance, a pest to be eradicated. With a growl, he issued his command. All ships, focus fire on the human strongholds. I want their cities in ruins. Back on Earth, the ground trembled as the alien barrage began. Plasma bolts rained down, shattering the silence with thunderous explosions. Ramirez watched the devastation on the monitors, her jaw set in grim resolve. The shields held, for now, but the onslaught was relentless. Captain, Parker's voice cut through the chaos. We have a window. The enemy's rear flank is exposed. Ramirez's eyes flashed with determination. Launch the strike. Now. From hidden bases across the globe, Earth's most advanced weaponry was unleashed. Stealth fighters soared into the sky, their engines roaring as they accelerated toward the alien ships. On the ground, railguns fired with pinpoint precision, each shot aimed at crippling the invaders' most vulnerable points. Varick's command ship shuddered as the first human salvo struck. Alarms blared, and his crews scrambled to respond. The commander's anger boiled over. How are they doing this? He snarled. They should be overwhelmed. But it was too late. The human counteroffensive had pierced the alien defenses, and the fleet was in disarray. Ramirez's strategy was working. She had forced the enemy into a position they hadn't anticipated, exploiting their arrogance. As the battle raged on, Varick realized the true nature of his opponent. These humans were more than just prey. They were predators, driven by an indomitable will to survive. His confidence wavered as the tide of battle began to turn against him. In the command center, Ramirez remained vigilant, her gaze fixed on the tactical display. She knew they had dealt a significant blow, but the war was far from over. The aliens would adapt, and the next wave would be even more brutal. But for now, Earth had won a critical victory. Prepare for the next phase, Ramirez ordered, her voice resolute. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Varick's command ship drifted silently in the aftermath of the human strike, its once imposing hull now riddled with scorch marks and ruptures. The bridge, usually filled with the hum of controlled efficiency, was a cacophony of alarms and panicked voices. Varick stood at the center, his mind racing to recalibrate the battle plan. The humans had proven themselves far more formidable than anticipated. His second-in-command, Captain Saris, approached with a grim expression. Commander, our losses are significant. The human attack crippled 3 of our destroyers, and their fighters are exploiting every gap in our formation. Varick's gaze hardened. They're resourceful, I'll give them that. But resourcefulness won't save them from the full force of our fleet. On Earth, Captain Ramirez was already preparing for the next phase. The successful strike had bought them time, but the alien threat loomed larger than ever. In the command center, the atmosphere was charged with both exhaustion and determination. Every decision, every order carried the weight of humanity's survival. Lieutenant Parker broke the tense silence. Captain, our scouts report that the aliens are regrouping for another assault. Their main fleet is massing at the edge of our defensive perimeter. Ramirez nodded, her mind calculating the next move. They'll come at us harder this time, but they've shown their hand. They're vulnerable if we can lure them into a trap. She turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Hayes. Coordinate with our ground forces. Set up an ambush along their most likely approach vector. We need to force them into close quarters, where their numbers won't matter. Hayes saluted sharply. Understood, Captain. We'll make sure they regret underestimating us. As the preparations were made, Ramirez's thoughts turned inward. The burden of command weighed heavily on her, but she couldn't afford to waver. She knew the stakes. This wasn't just a battle for Earth's survival, but a message to the galaxy. Humanity would not be conquered. In orbit, Varric issued his orders with a cold resolve. Prepare the shock troops. We'll launch a ground invasion to cripple their defenses from within. If the humans want to fight on their terms, we'll oblige them. Saris hesitated. Commander, the humans have proven unpredictable. A ground assault may play into their hands. Varric's eyes blazed with fury. Do you doubt our superiority, Saris? The humans are pests, nothing more. Crush them underfoot, and their resistance will crumble. The decision made, Varric's fleet began its advance. Waves of landing craft descended toward Earth, darkening the skies as they approached. On the ground, Ramirez's forces braced for impact. The ambush was set, but she knew this would be a brutal fight. The aliens weren't just attacking, they were trying to break humanity's spirit. As the first alien troops touched down, chaos erupted. Plasma fire lit up the battlefield, and the thunder of explosions echoed across the landscape. The human defenders held their ground, every soldier fighting with the desperation of those who knew there was no retreat. Ramirez watched the battle unfold on her command screens, her heart pounding. The aliens pressed forward with ruthless efficiency, but they were walking into a trap. She waited, timing her command perfectly. Now! She ordered. Hidden artillery batteries unleashed a devastating barrage, catching the invaders in a deadly crossfire. The aliens reeled from the unexpected assault, their formation splintering. Ramirez seized the moment. Advance! Drive them back! Her troops surged forward, taking advantage of the confusion. For the first time, the aliens faltered, their arrogance giving way to fear. Varric, watching from orbit, could hardly believe his eyes. The humans were not breaking, they were winning. Ramirez's voice rang out, steady and determined. We've made our stand. Now let's finish this. The tide had turned, and for the first time, victory seemed within reach. But both sides knew the final confrontation was still to come. The air crackled with tension as the battlefield settled into an eerie calm. Smoke from burning wreckage drifted across the horizon, obscuring the view of distant mountains. Captain Ramirez surveyed the scene from her command post, the weight of the coming hours pressing heavily on her shoulders. The initial victory had given humanity hope, but she knew the aliens were far from defeated. They were regrouping, preparing for a final, decisive strike. Lieutenant Parker approached, his face grim. Captain, enemy reinforcements are inbound. Their flagship is leading the charge. Ramirez clenched her jaw, the news confirming her worst fears. The alien commander Varric was making his move. This would be the battle to decide Earth's fate. Then we'll meet them head-on, Ramirez replied, her voice steely. Order all units to prepare for full engagement. No holding back. The command center buzzed with activity as orders were relayed across the defensive network. Ramirez could feel the tension among her crew, the silent fear that lingered in the back of every mind. But there was also determination, a resolve forged in the fires of adversity. They had come too far to back down now. On the alien flagship, Varric stood before the tactical display, his eyes narrowing as he studied the human defenses. He had underestimated these creatures, but he would not make the same mistake twice. His fleet was the largest the galaxy had ever seen, a juggernaut of destruction. This time, there would be no escape for the humans. Commander, Captain Saris reported. All units are in position. The humans are preparing for a last stand. Varric's lips curled into a snarl. Then we shall give them one. Begin the assault. Annihilate them. The alien fleet surged forward, a wall of steel and fire descending upon Earth's defenses. From her vantage point, Ramirez watched the sky darken as enemy ships blotted out the sun. The ground shook as the first volleys of plasma rained down, tearing through the human lines. But Ramirez was ready. "Focus all fire on the flagship," she ordered. "We take out Varric, and the rest will fall apart." The humans fought with unmatched ferocity. Artillery batteries unleashed a storm of missiles, cutting through the alien ranks. Ground troops held their positions, repelling wave after wave of invaders. The air was thick with the scent of ozone and burning metal, the screams of the wounded mixing with the roar of battle. But the alien forces were relentless, their advanced technology pushing the defenders to the brink. Ramirez knew they couldn't hold out much longer. She needed to turn the tide, and fast. Then, an idea struck her, dangerous, desperate, but it just might work. "Lieutenant Parker, prepare the EMP." Her voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. "We'll knock out their shields and give our fleet a chance." Parker's eyes widened. "But Captain, that will disable our systems too." Ramirez nodded. "I know. But it's our only shot." Parker hesitated, then saluted. "Understood, Captain? I'll make the preparations." As the final stages of the plan were set in motion, Ramirez took a moment to steel herself. This was the point of no return. If they failed, humanity's last hope would be extinguished. "Fire the EMP!" she ordered. The pulse rippled through the battlefield, a wave of energy that fried circuits and disrupted communications. For a brief moment, everything went silent, the chaos of war replaced by an oppressive stillness. Then the alien ships,